Right, number 9 is going to be a perimeter question. Perimeter is just distance around an object. And so instead of trying to figure out all the missing pieces to this, I know that this is 20 across, and the straight up and down distance is going to be 12 plus the 8 is also 20. And so what we actually have is a square where all the sides are 20, and so the distance around would be 20 times 4 equals 80. Okay, number 10 is going to be a system question. I believe this is our first one to see like this, but you have a system is just more than one equation. And so we have this, you have to know what the word sum means. The sum of real numbers x and y is 11. So that is x plus y equals 11. The difference is 5. So the difference of the same two numbers is 5. So we have x minus y equals 5. Okay, you may can figure out what these numbers would be in your head. You probably can. Two numbers added together equals 11. If you subtract those numbers, you get 5. But if you did not know what those numbers were, this is a system. X plus y equals 11, x minus y equals 5. You can solve the system. One way to do it is elimination. You can add the two equations together, and if I added the top one to the bottom one, x and x make 2x, the y's will eliminate. Positive y, negative y just eliminates. Equals 11 plus 5 is 16. And so I know x is going to be 8. And you can figure out y, now that you have x. 8 plus some number equals 11. Y is going to be 3. And so those are my two numbers, 8 and 3. The question wants to know what is the value of x times y. So x times y, 8 times 3, gives me 24. All right, number 11 is going to be a simplify expression. And so we need to simplify 3x plus 7 squared. Well, 3x plus 7 squared means that you're multiplying 3x plus 7 times itself. And so you need to multiply two binomials together. And what you can do on this, you can either FOIL it, the FOIL method, or you can do a 2x2 box. And so you have 2 terms times 2 terms. You do 3x times 3x. Remember, if we're multiplying, we're adding the exponents. So I multiply 3 times 3 gives me 9x to the second. And 3x times 7 gives me 21x. 7 times 3x gives me 21x. 7 times 7 gives me 49. And now that we're done multiplying, we can combine our like terms. And these two are our only like terms to combine. And so you have 9x squared. 21x and 21x added together gives you 42x, and then you have the 49 left. Number 12 is the slope question. Rise over run. M equals rise over run. We could plot those 2 points or just make a sketch of them. Negative 5, 2. So we start at the origin. We're going to go left 5 and up 2. Left 5, up 2. So we could say it's right there. And then we would go right 6 and up 7. Right 6, up 7. So something like that. And this is going to be a positive slope. It's going uphill from left to right. Now we got to figure out the rise and the run. So I know right off the bat that it can't be h and it can't be k. This is a positive slope. And the rise distance is your up and down distance. So I'm trying to figure out the distance from 7 to 2. That is your y distance. How far is it from 7 to 2 on a number line? It's 5. And then the run distance, how far is it from -5 to 6 on a number line? That's going to be 11. And so my slope, m equals rise over run, 5 over 11. All right, 13 is going to be an equation. Solving an equation for k. This one has fractions in it, and so you don't need to be intimidated when you see the fractions. I'll show you how to get rid of those fractions to make it easier. And so I'm going to rewrite the equation here. Alright, so what you can do, anytime you have a fraction, we can get rid of the denominator of any fraction. And so let's look at that first term, 1/3 k. I can get rid of that 3 simply by multiplying every term I see by 3. So what you do to one term, you got to do to every term. So multiply everything by 3. And so what happens on this first term, that gives you 3k over 3, which the 3's just cancel out, so I'm left with k. The second term is now going to be 3 over 4k, and that's going to be equal to 3. Now let's do the same thing, but let's get rid of that 4. And so we can multiply every term by 4. So multiply by 4, multiply by 4, multiply by 4. And so we get 4k plus, these 4's cancel out, 3k equals 12. 4k plus 3k equals 12. Now that was a lot easier to do. Combine these terms. So that gives me 7k equals 12. Solve for k, divide by 7, divide by 7. K equals 12 over 7. B. Okay, number 14 is going to be a right triangle question. Right triangle. Oops. Right triangle question. Alright, so what is the length of the hypotenuse of a right triangle if the legs are 6 and 7? The legs are the side lengths attached to that right angle. So 6, 7, and what is the length of the hypotenuse? Well, some things you need to look for on the ACT. If you see triples, if you see 3, 4, 5, if you see 8, 15, 17, if you see 5, 12, 13, you could also see 7, 24, 25. Well, this is not one of those, and it's not a multiple of one of those. And so if you don't have a triple, then you can do the Pythagorean theorem, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And c is going to be our hypotenuse, so that's what we're solving for. Let's plug in a and b. So 6 squared plus 7 squared equals c squared. 6 squared is 36, 7 squared is 49 equals c squared, and combine those two, we're going to get 85 equals c squared. That's my hypotenuse squared. So to get the hypotenuse, we'll take the square root of that. Square root that, we'll get c equals square root 85, and this happens to be an answer choice, which is G. Okay, 15 is going to be an area question. An area is how many square units are inside of a shape. So we have a hexagon, and it wants to know the area of the hexagon, so we need to figure out how many squares are in there. And so there's multiple ways to do this. You can do it by counting. You can find the area of rectangles and add them up real quick. Like we know this is a 2 by 6 or a 2 by 5, so there's 10 in there, and we know that this is a 2 by 3. There's 6 in there, and so what we've got to find is the rest of them. And so those are here's one, and then these two half squares would make 1. So you have 10 plus 6 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, and then this one is also going to make 1. And so you have 16 plus 4 gives you 20.